top is spinning. You cannot see the entire view with one view field. You're only seeing one side of it. So right down the middle, this is one end. You see the pink coloration over there, that is the thumb tool. That's the thumb tool. And then right in the middle, you can see this is the midline. Okay. This is the midline. And this side here, you can see the three layers. This up here, this is the zona glomerulosa. In there, this is the switch. Starting from around here, all the way down to around here is the zona fasciculata. And this is the zona reticularis. With all those empty spaces in between. That is the zona reticularis. You can zoom into this. Go all the way to the top. That's where the zona glomerulosa. You can see these are more or less like circular, and most like the glomerulus type. So these are ball-shaped clusters of cells. This is known as glomerulosa. That simply R goes to 1. And these cells appear to be arranged in column types. Remember what those is? Simply a series of columns of parallel.
Video.
I'm looking at myself. Oh my goodness, I'm a star. You're recording it? And I'm saying all of this and you're recording. So that's kind of like censorship. You can't say things.
You can say whatever you want to say.
Put it on Facebook or whatever.
We'll sign it to the VA.
So this is the fasciculata, zona fasciculata. You see the kind of the line. And then as you come down here, you can see it's probably different. So here the cells seem to be arranged in branching network way, but not like parallel columns anymore. They're like branched networks. So that's why it's called zona reticularis, responsible for gonadocorticoids. And then if you go further into the core, you get okay. That's what you look for in adrenal wall, adrenal layer. So let me show you another slide of the same. So the medulla is somewhat elongated based on, it depends on the angle at which it is cut. So this is the medulla in the middle. So this is the area we are interested in. Similarly, this area here, this is the cortex, below that, and above it. So we will zoom into that area. So now you can see the arrangement of those cells a little better. You can see the glomerulus way up here. Going in circles, whereas look at the nuclei of these, they seem to be lined up along parallel columns. So this is all fasciculata, this is glomerulosa, and then down here, this is reticularis. This is very thin in this particular one. In some views, the reticularis will be broader, but typically you will see the fasciculata to be the most broader of the three areas. This is all reticularis over here. Move it over to the other side again, you can see the glomerulosa. See the difference here? Cells are more or less in circles, whereas these are in long parallel columns, and if you go further up, these are in a branched network shape. So that's how you identify the different layers of the adrenal cortex. The next one we're going to look at is the pancreas. So we already know from the discussion on digestive system that the pancreas is packed with pancreatic acinar cells, right? Acini. You see all of these darker oval shapes or circular shapes. the little, little lumen inside, those are all acini. These are all the darker spots are all acini. But in between, you can see these lighter patches. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. These are like little islands in the sea of acini. These are the pancreatic islets or islets of Langerhans. Okay, these are the ones that carry those contain the alpha and the beta cells. Alpha cells will produce glucagon, and beta cells produce insulin. So let's zoom into this. You won't be able to identify the cells as alpha beta though, but you can clearly see the islets of Langerhans. So this is probably how you see most of the pancreatic slides. You see 1 or 2 islets. These are all basically acinar cells. The little white spaces are the ducts of those acini, and the larger spaces are the larger of the ducts. So pancreatic islets. You will not be asked to identify the acinar cells, that is in the digestive system. You will be asked to identify the pancreatic islets. They stand out. The only confusion that people normally have is between this and the renal cortex, where you see the glomerulus, remember? They look somewhat like this, right? But you don't see a parietal layer, and moreover, you don't see those lumens that are clearly visible. It's more like, dense, like little tennis balls, not like a soccer ball or football. So there is not enough room in the middle as a lumen. And whereas if it's a kidney, you would see the lumen with either bird for DCT and clear for DCT. So that's the pancreas. So we did all the endocrine glands, right? Okay. So now on to the male and female system, reproductive system. So we got 4 slides to look at. One is testis, the other is penis, then ovary, and the uterus. So what do you want to start with?
Testis.
What do you expect to see in the testis? Seminiferous tubules, right? It's packed with seminiferous tubules. You won't see anything else. So this is how it looks like. These are all seminiferous tubules. You can see the lumen. Some of them are clear. Some of them are hazy because that's packed with sperms in there. You can also see that in between those cells, in between those seminiferous tubules, there are these little patches of cells. What are these? Leydig cells, so interstitial cells. What do? They secrete testosterone. They produce testosterone. So testosterone producing cells and sperm producing seminiferous tubules. Let's dive into a seminiferous tubule and see how it looks like. So one of them, you can see there are some sperms right in the middle, the center. These are all of those spermatogenic cells, the nuclei of those primary spermatocytes, secondary spermatocytes, and spermatids, and so on. In close view, you might see that some of them are undergoing subdivision. You see the chromosomes here? The chromosomes separating.
Yes.
So they are undergoing cell division. Looking at this as the section. So what we do not see though is the Sertoli cell, because the boundaries of the Sertoli cell is very difficult to start. So you could just imagine that these cells are all held inside a larger cell. This would be the Sertoli cell. But you can see this line of cells that are lined up along the outer perimeter, which are the spermatogonia. So these are the spermatogonia cells. You can see that here also, all standing in a line. So this is how you will find the testis packed with seminiferous tubules, very easy to identify. Penis slide. So what are we looking for in the penis slide? Corpus spongiosum and corpus cavernosum. So, got this. So this is the liver, epithelial transition. So this is the liver, and this is corpus spongiosum. Corpus spongiosum. Where is the corpus corpora cavernosa? Superolateral, right? Superolateral. So it's going to be, this whole thing is the corpus cavernosa. This is the corpus cavernosa. Okay. So that's how the drainage fiber look like. Similar to what you saw in that model when we took out the structure. So next we're going to look at the ovary. What do you expect to see in the ovary? Tell me two structures you're looking for in the ovary. Follicles. What else? Oocytes inside the follicle. Okay. Give me one more thing. Corpus luteum. So we're looking for follicles in corpus luteum, and if you're lucky, we should be able to find a tertiary follicle. And in tertiary follicle, we should be able to see the oocyte with the zona pellucida and all of those structures. It's totally quit on me. Okay. Do any of these look familiar? Where? Oh. Yeah, there is a mismatch between what you see through this and focusing on this. It's really annoying. So let's look a little familiar. How about this? So what do you see here? If See follicles. How many types of follicles do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4 more. Sure.
See the
This is also a tertiary follicle, not quite there yet, but you can call it a tertiary follicle or a Graafian follicle. Yeah, kind of like a secondary, an advanced secondary, moving into the tertiary follicle. See all of these guys here. What are these? Primary and primordial. So let's zoom into that a little bit. So do you see the difference between primary and primordial?
Yeah.
These all look like they are primordial, right? They don't seem to have a complete layer around it. And this that's around it, that's not cuboidal. In primary, they will be cuboidal, thicker cells. Whereas these look like they are mostly squamous typically. So if we now go over to this, you can see a couple here. This it's not very clear, but you can see those cells are, the epithelial cells are more continuous. They're cuboidal. These all look primordial. This one could be a primary follicle. Now let's show another slide also so that you can look at that. If you look at this one here, what is this letter called? This is what you've been saying, the same thing again and again. Yeah. Listen, now I ask you, you don't say it. Close the layer. Right? And this on the outside? This layer? The thecal layer. Thecal layer. So thecal layer, granulosa layer. What is this space called? Antrum. Not Andrew, antrum. What is it, Andrew? Antrum. What is it filled with? Antral fluid. What is it? It's rich in estrogen. Where does that estrogen come from? The granulosa cells, right? But initially formed in the thecal cells as testosterone, then in the granulosa. What is this layer called? Corona radiata, right? So this is the corona radiata. And what is this pink circle? Zona pellucida. Zona pellucida. If this is a tertiary follicle, a Graafian follicle ready to ovulate, what would this cell be? What is the cell called? What type of oocyte?
A tertiary.
Yes, now secondary oocyte.
Secondary.
There's no tertiary oocyte, there's only primary or secondary. So this is a secondary oocyte. What is this purple thing in the middle?
The nucleus.
That's the nucleus. So starting from the inside nucleus, cytoplasm of the secondary oocyte, zona pellucida, the corona radiata, antrum, granulosa, thecal. Okay, so all these structures. I don't see a clear composition in there, so let's look at another one. At low power, see how massive these things are. Look at the corpus luteum right now. This is one massive corpus luteum. This is another corpus luteum. So let's walk with this. Let me show you some follicles. again, you see the same organization here. Oocyte, the zona pellucida, the corona radiata, the granulosa, the clinical cells. Those also cats and dogs, they could have, and rats, they could have multiple graphene follicles because they can have multiple babies at the same time. So, this is different. This is the corpus luteum, this whole thing. Now, master structures, they fill up nearly the entire ovary at times. And that's the follicle. So you can see different follicles in here. Also, corpus luteum. That's corpus luteum. That's how the ovary would look like. And finally, the uterus. What are we looking for in the uterus? The layers. So this is up here. This is the lumen. The lumen of the uterus. Endometrium. You can see a lot of glandular structures in here, and that happens during the secretory phase. So this is the endometrium. And if I move it slightly, you can see the characteristic smooth muscles. These are all smooth muscles of the myometrium. Myometrium. You don't have to identify the perimetry at all, but you can see the perimetry with a lot of these blood vessels. So that would be the plenty of blood vessels. So that's the perimetry. Most of this is myometrium, and the endometrium would look totally different. More cells in there. That's why you see a lot more purple dots in all the cells. And that is the endometrium. Okay. So that is all of the slides that you need to look at.